See if the chat lights up and if anybody is in. All right, let's have a look.
Same exact spot.
Yeah, I figured it worked good last time. A little deja vu here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to say, lads, before we start things out, I'm going to leave it just you two topless, all right?
Yeah.
You're
taking your shirt off too, eh?
I don't want to be getting my tits out.
No.
It is not. We have 9:30 is like the watershed in England. So after 9:30, you can show full frontal nudity on TV over here because everybody figures that kids are in bed. Now, for me, nobody needs to see that. You lads, you're right. You're in a hot climate. You're both reasonably well conditioned. We have Paul Lynn on here. Might even come on tonight. In good physique, not a problem. I start getting my tits out. Won't be any
That's why you start losing subscribers, right? You got to think about the
subscribers on here, mate. We don't need that in life. We do not need that in life. So let's just see if we are live. I think we are. We're starting to see the chat light up. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Fix. Guys, it's episode 199. What about that? Yeah. Well, we may have.
Who's on
200
200? I
next
want to
week,
know
or we
who
might
you
leave
got
it.
on 200.
That's a good point.
I want to know who you got on 200.
You know what? We haven't even set it yet, Matt, but you are welcome, mate, if you want to come on to 200.
Thank you, Neil.
I might have to be. He said Matt.
Yeah, I heard him.
Listen,
Yeah.
we don't.
I'll put you in the background. I'll put a picture of you up in the background.
To be fair to Brad, I agreed this with Brad before I knew the outcome of the match. And
I'm just crashing.
Trust me, I wouldn't have agreed either if I knew the outcome.
He was like, I ain't coming on. But we will.
He actually asked me yesterday after the match. He's like, man, he's like, I'm supposed to be doing a live stream with Neil. He's like, you just want to do it for me, man.
Yeah, you want to go
I
on
says,
there?
you know what? Tell you what, I says, I'll come with you. We can do it together. Okay. So I'm here for moral support.
My best friend, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
like
we're
when you
actually
do
brothers now. I
karaoke.
got his parents to adopt me. So yeah.
All his best friends are the guys who beat him in the matches.
This way, Brad ain't the black sheep in the family anymore.
There you go, see, mate. That's what it's all
Yeah.
about. Keeping it
Brad, I
positive.
make you look good.
Nice that you.
Skinny at least.
So, for those people in the chat that don't know, and I haven't actually seen the event yesterday because we were mobbed, but just give us a bit of a rundown on the event, Brad. What was the event, and just run through the matches that were on there.
Yeah, so it was a last minute kind of like just save the event me and Chance put together because the Challenger Series fell apart. We had guys coming down.
Why was that, incidentally?
Dude, it's a pretty complicated thing. I don't even want to get into it because I don't understand the details, but I just know that it's complicated, and they're trying to do another one, I think, at some point. But
That's what my missus said when I found her in bed with the milkman. Real. It's like, Neil, complicated, son.
I wasn't a part of it. I just stepped in for Chance, and then we tried to fix what was left of the event because Matt was already coming down with his family.
Yep.
And some guys were coming down, so it was the last minute fix. So then, super last minute, Philip's like, "Hey, Brad, Matt can't pull me for reasons, contracts and stuff. You should hop in there." And he talked me into it, and I feel like an idiot. So,
Philip's
Well,
tell people about Philip, guys. Tell people about Philip who don't know Philip.
And Matt just pulled him as well. The guy is super strong.
Really
He's
strong.
Yeah, super strong, and he's smart.
Super
too.
big.
Yep, a hand like Wayne Withers almost, and a brain that far, in my opinion, far surpasses it on the table. Yeah, smart guy.
Very interesting. So, in terms of the matches top to bottom on the card, just walk me through you had on there, guys.
Right. Yeah, sure. So we had 154 guys, Austin Jennings, Robert Mota. And I watched none of the matches, Neil. I was just trying to get ready for my match. So that's why I was trying to be quiet so Matt could talk, but I missed all of it. Did you watch any of the matches or?
I watched some of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think the best matches were, and correct me if I'm wrong, Dan and Don. The four-man was amazing.
Yeah, four-man was.
Did you watch it, Neil, or no?
I didn't, mate. I was solid training with Eddie Hall yesterday.
Got it. Oh, that's great reason. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, if you guys want to check it out, the four-man was great. So Austin, Wade, Matt King, who beat Vios. We
Yep.
had Daniel Worley, who's an old school legend.
Yes.
Then we had John Theron, who everyone knows. And
Yep.
John's badass. Yeah, I won't spoil
How'd that
anything,
go?
but fantastic. That was a highlight of the whole day for sure.
Who got it?
Say
mate? We're allowed
everybody
to
was
do spoilers.
standing up at the end of the event singing "Oh Canada," right?
Thanks.
There's some impressive lads on there. John Terry and obviously Original Savage. We are massive John Terry fans.
Yeah.
Obviously Arm Wars guys. So I'm hoping that he got a job done there.
Yeah, no, John did very well. And then Daniel, you know Daniel Price?
Yes.
Okay,
All
he's
the
on
guys you
Heritage.
mentioned on there, I know them all.
Okay, yes. Daniel and Carl, Don, and Sean Crowder pulled, Matt's friend.
Yep.
That was also great. A lot of great performances there as well. Yeah. I don't want to get too far. I think people might still buy it, so I don't want to say too much, but there's a lot of solid matches.
Yeah, I mean, wait, you're allowed to be biased.
Well, I don't want to say too much though.
Okay. Yeah, you want to make sure that people buy into the event. I understand. No problem.
It's gonna be on YouTube in a week though. But yeah.
Now, so we'll not cover up. Give us the details of where people can watch that, mate. Just so they've got it, and then if you can send me the link after, I can stick it in the
Yeah,
chat
sure.
and people can go. Thing.
I think it's
ARMWRESTLING.live.
Yeah, I think it's armwrestling.live. It's Robert Kelly streams. I'm almost 100% sure it's armwrestling.live.
It is, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, check that. Check out what you need, mate. Send that over to me. For everybody in the chat, I'll put the link in the description after we finish the show. You can see these lads came on prepped. They've come on tits out, so give them a break. They've got an hour of sunlight left there, and that smart mask. You know there's a lot of beer flowing. Just leave it there. Obviously, he's probably... How many beers in are you now, Matt?
This is my first one.
Yeah.
Shut
It'll probably be my last one.
Dude.
I only have a beer like once every 6 months, Neil. unless I'm at my cottage, it's coffee and Bailey's in the morning.
Canadian.
But so
Canadian. We had a super chat in from Jeremy Brown and family. Thank you very much for your super chat, mates. But everyone's upset. The title says Eddie Bryan Devon. That is true. Devon had to cancel late notice. He sent his apologies. We will reconvene. I will change the title. Last minute cancellation, as also was Rolly Ray, who was coming on tonight, because he has got some kind of serious virus that he thinks is either COVID or food poisoning. 3 men have died.
Yeah, sorry to disappoint, guys.
yeah.
You get Brad and Matt Mask. And Alex Top Rolls there, Phillips there. There's a few guys.
Yeah, we'll try to get some guys in here.
We'll bring some. What I wanted to do tonight with you guys is just walk through the King of the Table card a little bit and get your insight on there. Obviously, Matt, you've got a hell of a match on there. You're pulling against a very, very difficult opponent and a guy that you've faced before, bested before. But I wanted to get Brad's take on that as well. So let's start with that. Matt Mask, Marcio. Brad, give us your take on that. How do you see the match going down?
I think correct me if I'm wrong. I think Matt's had his number for the last few matches, and I think stylistically it's hard for Marcio to deal with that hand. I think Matt's the favorite pretty easily.
Where do you feel right now, Matt? Are you obviously coming into this with the best form? Or have you got any issues, anything that you're carrying that people should know about that might change the outcome? Or do you see yourself as a clear favorite?
Do we ever not have any issues as arm wrestlers? You know,
we have more and less.
We're always dealing with something or another. Whether or not we let people know about it, that's a different story, right? So it's not anything to the aspect where I feel it's going to affect my performance in any way. So I'm feeling pretty good. Feeling good, but obviously I'm not going in super cocky. Marcio is a legend all in himself, so
he is.
and we know
my take on it.
Sleep on Marcio, it's a long day. So
you never know where Marcio's at recently, because when Marcio comes in firing, he's a really serious individual. Really serious individual. But he's had a couple of difficult showings where I think he's come in there not on his best game. Most notably, Jordan Sonev, who I think is, oh my God. Put your face masks on, ladies and gentlemen. Put your face masks on. Rolly Ray's coming on. And apparently,
you're on Alex.
This virus
Alex is also on.
Look at Ray there, look. He's nearly dead.
Okay.
Kind of
guys.
you get from Ray. We've also been joined.
I almost died
what,
after
Dylan?
talking with Matt Mass. So
yeah, mate. How are you feeling, Rolly?
I'll survive. I'll survive.
Yeah.
Just come on, hey guys, look at
Nobody
Matt's
really gives a fuck how you feel, Ray.
look
nobody
at Matt's
cares.
hair. Come on,
Nobody cares.
shut up, Matt. Matt, you
Good. Topless lads on the fix, mate. We have to do something for the ladies every week. We usually have Paul on here tonight. He may drop in, but Paul not here right now. So Matt, Mask, Brad. Look at Alex. Look, keeping conservative. Tops
He's the
on.
one guy that should be shirtless. Yeah.
So
I don't
rolling.
know. I
We
know.
were
I'm
just
not-
talking about Marcio Barboza and his sort of in and out nature in terms of the form. He had a very difficult outing against Jordan Sonev and also came up short against Petrenko. I think he went into both those matches in an underdog. You wonder whether that's given him a kick up the ass. We were just talking to Brad, and he's got Marcio as a massive favourite. Do you see it the same, mate?
Speaking of shirtless guys, you shouldn't be shirtless.
He's talking to you.
Holy shit, the sun has been blocked out. Phillips landed.
Talk about stable match.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
why is Philip wearing a shirt? Oh, that's not a shirt.
No, that's just my skin. Yeah, he's wearing a sweater.
This is my cue to leave. Daddy's here.
I heard he strangled a fucking bear on the way over here. So
Unbelievable.
Stopped
Philip,
in
you do know that
California
like
and
they're
killed a
still
grizzly
looking
bear
for
and that.
Bigfoot
What are you
over there, don't
wearing?
you?
And they just found him.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
The Sasquatch liver, ladies and gentlemen. There he is. Philip, great result this weekend, mate.
What?
Great result this weekend.
Yeah, I'm happy about it. Nothing much to say more than that. That I'm happy. It was a nice fight.
Who do you want next, mate? Who's your next opponent? Who are you looking for? If you were going call out nation, who do you want?
I'm going for Russia then. I want to fight Schoolboy then.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, the gigantic version of School Bus. He looks massive right now, doesn't he?
He looks dangerous now.
Yeah, looking. The thing with the young men, as we always say on here, I mean, Rolly Ray was with me at East versus West when Schoolboy showed up there looking large. I think he looked significantly bigger this last time out. I've only seen footage of him. What is his weight right now, Alex?
About to say 125, but he's leaner right now.
So
Less
he's,
body fat.
yeah, put on more
Looks
muscle.
like he's in better shape, healthier.
Yeah, helps him.
Yeah.
He was in a bulk prior to Leonidas.
Who was that
He ran
waving at
away.
us? We got a bad angle on this. Who was waving at us there?
John Therian.
Oh, John the Savage Terrian. Can't
Yeah.
tell us the result. Screw up the pay-per-view. But yeah, very solid. So we just had a super chat in from John Augustine. Thank you, mate, for your super chat. He's put, I'll forgive the false advertisement, Neil. Yeah, apologies, mate. Lastminute.com are there. Not really a lot I can do about it. Only because you brought on the Wild Horse and Solomon Grundy. Appreciate that, pal. Appreciate that. You know you're always going to get good value from these guys. Rolly Ray's come on his deathbed. And we got a super chat from Bricknose91. He's put, is Brad still hosting practice on that? Does anybody know there, guys, if Brad Grundy's still hosting practices?
I'm not sure. I'm not from here. I'm just visiting.
You're just
I'm just
visiting.
temporary. Yeah.
Rick
just
knows we will find out that for you in a minute when he is
Somehow
back on.
visiting. Somehow we took over his show for him. So he's gone. I don't know
Yeah.
where he is. I think he's serving more beer or waters or something.
Guys, just spin the camera around and show him the location where you are there. Just have a look at this, guys. Check this out.
Yeah, look at that. That barbecue.
Beautiful.
No, actually, it's,
Look at that for a. This is Brad's place, yeah.
Castle Brad.
yeah.
What a stunning location that is, Brad Grundy.
What did I
What
just
a
do?
place.
I don't
Music
know.
guys, but Matt's. So we got a super chat for you here, Matt. He's put, Matt, if
Yep.
Coach Ray and Risto jumped Devon, would you step in to help? And that is maybe the best super chat we've ever had.
I step in to help.
Guy, like you were.
That's all. Yeah, all it would be stepping. You're just stepping on them because they're just fucking little fucking.
Don't stand for that, Rolly.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't need to step in to help. We all know that. So, Ray, what do you think, Ray? Hey, Ray, where'd you go?
I
There
think-
you are. What do you think, Ray?
I think it would be even as me and Christo, would be same height as Devon. So
If we put Haristo on your shoulders, hey.
Yeah.
No.
That is an amazingly good
Ray's
system.
not feeling up for this right now. I can see it in his eyes.
Dude, he sent me a message.
Ray's
before
not feeling
May
good.
dying.
Yeah.
May
I
dying.
have a feeling I'm getting a throat punch there, King of the Table 13. So
He's committed. The lad is
Yeah,
committed.
I will just call you your
or
opponent.
punching my belly button anyways. One of the two.
Some shit you do, Ray.
It's good if speed bag.
So one for
Speed bag's the
everybody
old
in the
tea bag,
chat,
eh?
and I'm going to get into this with the lads. We've had a swing of fortunes this, and everybody seems to be saying that all of a sudden now that Jerry Cadorette has very little chance. All the top pros are coming on and saying that, and I wanted to check that out with you. What's the feeling in the camp? Alex Top Roll, who've you got? Do you think that Jerry can do anything with Levan, or is this a foregone conclusion for the main event of King of the Table
I think
13?
he has very good shot for sure. Not less chance than for Hermes. You know, I think he can make him real work, and I see this match as like 60% forward to Levan.
60
So it's not one sided for sure.
Philip, how have you got it, mate?
Well, if he gets into his position, it could be very dangerous
Yeah.
because that's a big guy laying on your arm.
Yeah.
But I still have Levan as the favorite for sure.
Yeah.
Like about 60-40, maybe 65-35. Like if I would bet on Levan, but Jerry is dangerous for sure.
Now, the Wild Horse Matt Mask, one of the guys on the call who's had experience with pulling Jerry back in the WAL days. I think you only pulled him the once. Is that right?
Yeah.
What's your stance on this, mate? How do you think this thing goes down?
I think if Levan hasn't done, I think it all depends on Levan. Really, if Levan comes at Jerry the way he's come at everybody I've seen him come at for the last 5 years, I think it could be a very long day for Levan. If Levan has learned how to come forward a little more, maybe grab a little lower, actually done some studying on how to prevent people that are really good at the flop wrist press, then I think it's going to be a quick, easy day for Levan. But if Levan hasn't done the homework that he needs to do and attacks it the same way he has everybody else, I think Jerry has a chance. I think he has a really, really chance. And whether or not Levan has an issue, a mental block, or wherever it is that's preventing him from coming forward, we've seen in a lot of matches he's not really jumping on it. He did, I believe, in the last one when he pulled Devon. He was able to come forward, get him behind his arm. But if he doesn't religiously practice that with Jerry, then I think it's going to be a long day for Levan. So
it's interesting, isn't it? Because a lot of people talk about if you know the style of the presser, you can overcome it. There are ways around that. One thing I've noted a great deal from just conversations with Levan when you're over at East versus West, and Ray, come in if you think I'm wrong at any time on this, mate, but you've spent a lot of time with Levan also. He seems like he is an extremely diligent arm wrestler. What I mean by that, the lad seems like he does a lot of homework, Ray.
Yes. Yeah, he does. He does, and he wants to improve. And all the times, like if he gets tested, at least he knows something to be working on, right? Other times you just keep on trying to get stronger, what everyone's trying to do. This is specifically like I watched all the matches Levan losing. The scenario is very similar. Flop wrist kills him. Right, he's been doing better and better against it, but again, we saw what Hermes did, and Hermes stopped him a little bit different. That
He attacked with the top, didn't he, and then
yes,
transitioned.
and then transitioned to it. But Jerry, like every single guy that pulls Jerry will tell you that's a different power and very weird. Like everything is weird, and nothing makes sense. Even Gennady, when he pulled him, he thought like, oh, like this is going to be comfortable, and then you're stuck in position, you just can't understand what is going on. So I do believe if Jerry like works in those 4 rounds, he could actually do something and maybe not turn it around, but do pretty well. It's all gonna come down like Jerry sometimes like he gives up the hand sometimes too easy, in my opinion, where he could be holding on. And he has that sticky point. I'm very interested to see how it goes. I do believe it's a big challenge for Levan. And I think Levan sees it as well. Like audience thinks it's like 90-10. I think Levan is worried. he's worried that he might be in a position where he doesn't want to be.
I like I mean the take that Matt gave a minute ago, I tend to agree with quite a bit in terms of you got polar opposites here, haven't we, lads, really, in terms of if Levan can finish quick, tremendous. We know it's done. Top end power, red line power, he's a different league to anybody in the world right now. But if this thing could get drawn into any kind of dogfight, very, very few people have got anywhere near the level of endurance that we see from Jerry Carteret. The guy can go forever. He may not look like he's the most athletic guy in the world, but that guy's endurance is off the charts. And the other thing that I would say about Jerry, he's obviously dropped weight for this, and he looks in different condition, is what I'm going to say. Looks very, very unique right now. I wonder whether he's going to be a strong or whether he's just going for that long game to get the breaks on. What kind of percentage have you got in that, Ray? Do you think it's a pretty strong 60-40, or do you see it bigger in favor of Levan?
Like, it's hard to put a number on it. 30-70, 30-70. Like,
Yeah,
just because like how dangerous he is, like it's very easy to pull someone that pulls conventional. Like, they don't have a lot of options. Like, as soon as you open up their arm, they lose, right? Here is the guy that you might get what you want, and he's still holding on. And like every single round, he gets a little bit deeper, a little bit more, stretch you out, and he doesn't die there. I think it's going to be hard for Jerry to stop Levan, but it might be hard for Levan to finish Jerry. That's what I see. But of course, for me, Levan is the favorite. Like, it's very hard. But like, listen, guys, we all looked at Alex Cordecha as the one of the guys that potentially could be. And look what happened there. It wasn't even close. Wasn't even like past the center
It was
line.
a run over, wasn't it?
That was run over. And big guy, very similarly built, same attributes. Was coming closer, just pulled away. Like, you met him in the center, and like there's nothing he could do in the center. We'll see. We'll see how it turns out. Like, I think Levan has a lot of options to pull Jerry. Jerry has one thing that he does best than anyone else.
Alex and Matt, do you think it makes a difference that this is happening in the States? Do you think travel's a factor or not?
I think for sure.
100%.
For
Yeah.
heavier guys, especially.
Yeah,
It's very
absolutely.
hard.
Yeah. And it's not like it's a quick 4 or 5 hour flight for Levan either. He's looking at a good 10 to 14 hours sitting on a plane to get here, right? So, and unless he's throwing some big dollars out for his ticket,
First class lane.
Levan ain't a motherfucker that really fits good on a plane, if you ask me, right?
A giant.
So,
I think
Everybody know what kind of weight he is?
Tuesday. Everyone's arriving on Tuesday, so everyone might have enough time to kind of recover, adjust a little bit, right? But the travel will be for someone his size. I have flown from Turkey, and he was sitting in an aisle next to me, and they're like to a lady, "Can you please move and give this guy 2 seats?" Like, literally, right?
Yeah, like Matt says, he's not felt. Not. We went to, funnily enough, little story, getting off topic a little bit. So last night we went to train with Eddie. We've been training with Eddie in the late afternoon, and we have a famous comedian over here, comedian stroke celebrity. You heard of the show Top Gear that was like globally famous. This guy presented Top Gear. His name's Paddy McGuinness. Okay, so very famous comedian and host. And he's a good friend of Eddie Hall's, and he was doing a show in Stoke-on-Trent, which is where Eddie lives. So lastminute.com, Eddie called me up and said, "Hey, after training tonight, if you want to do it, I can get tickets for Paddy McGuinness's stand-up comedy show. Do you want to go? How many guys have we got? I'll get tickets sorted out and we'll get in there." So there's myself, Rob Frampton. We got the Claymore, James Stewart, who, if you haven't met James Stewart, he's a giant. He's a Brian Shaw-sized guy. 6'8", 400-pounder monster. So he's with us. Rob Frampton, Eddie. We go into the theatre. We got the seats. Oh my God. You've never seen anything like it. Trying to get those dudes into those theatre seats was piss funny. They literally couldn't get into the seat. Overlapping. Eddie was sat up on top of the seat. Ridiculous. But that's the kind of issues you face when you're literally a frigging giant. So as Matt says, coming over on that plane, could be problematic, and that's one of the things that also I don't know. I'm not a spiritual guy, and I'm not somebody who believes that in fate so much or anything like that. I think you make your own destiny all the time, really. But one thing I would say, there are a few things out there that could throw serious curveballs on this match. I really do believe that. I think there are some real curveballs. I mean, couldn't be better for Jerry, really. It's not too far from his house. We're looking, he's not having to travel a great distance at all. Levan having to travel overseas, really problematic. So I think this is certainly for me, and I think probably for a lot of arm wrestling purists, it's a more interesting super match than people expect. Because on the face of things, Levan Saginashvili goes in as a heavy favorite. Remember, guys, if you're not familiar with it, King of the Table 13th, 14th of December. Link's going to be in the description for getting hold of this thing. Don't miss it. While we've got the guys on the call who know so much about this, I wanted also to touch base with Ray and Matt on one other match on here, which is Sandris Sheris, the MF chef, Panzer Sheris. And he's going to be facing Rustam Babayev. That is an interesting match. Really interesting match. Starting with yourself, Matt, how do you see that one, mate? You're very familiar with the strengths and weaknesses of both these guys. You've seen them pull forever. You've had personal experience on the table with Sandris Sheris.
I would say, fuck, that's a tough one, just because I think Sandris should have the advantage with the longer leverage and everything else, but you got Rustam with such a short leverage that if he gets him sucked in, makes it hard for a guy with a long leverage to be able to come fully around it. So it's actually very, very interesting. I think Sandris is definitely the more well-rounded athlete out of the two. Sandris has more than one tool in his box that he can use. So, but I don't know, it'll be interesting. I think I would say Rustam's a little more explosive at getting to the position that he wants than Sandris is. But Sandris is definitely more versatile. That could actually go either way. So
Alex,
I would say Sandris is the favorite. I would say Sandris would have to be the favorite.
By a significant margin, Matt?
I wouldn't say significant just because Rustam, you can't really put him down no matter who he pulls, right? Like he was in top 8 pulling with those guys. You know, like he's a giant killer all on his own himself, right? So
yeah, we've seen him beat a lot of big men and stand up a lot of big men in long pulls. I mean, a pretty informed Bresnan.
yeah.
A great match. Absolutely great match. And we know how strong, or the guys who've been around the game for a long period of time know just how strong and how awkward Tim Bresnan was at that time. And yet, still in an absolute banger of a battle with him. What about yourself, Alex? How have you got this?
Are they gonna pull within 105 kilo?
105 kilos, yes.
Yeah. I see Sandris is a slight favorite, like 55-45. It's just gonna be depend on if Sandris will be able to be outside with him. If it goes inside, I think it's Rustam and Sandris will be able to tackle or maybe high hook. So yeah, maybe he'll get a win in that case. So slight favorite is Sandris, just by a little bit. Yeah.
Now, Brad, welcome back, mate. I'm going to ask you your opinion on this match in a moment.
Yeah, sure.
Because I know this is someone you'd like to pull, and then we'll get the lowdown on the MF chef from Ray, who knows him very, very well. Because there's been some significant aesthetic changes, let's just say that, in Sandris Sheris.
I saw those. The photos, yeah.
Looking stupid ripped. But we had a super chat, mate, asking specifically whether or not you are still hosting practices.
Me.
Mm-hmm.
No, this is just a special occasion because of the event. Normally, I drive to a friend's place for practice that hosts them. Yeah.
We showed off your house a moment ago, Brad. That is beautiful.
Okay. Thanks, guys.
Matt.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And this isn't my place. Like I don't have enough money to get my own place, so I'm staying with family right now. But
mate,
yeah,
that is quite.
No, it's very nice. No, I love staying here. I'm not gonna complain, but I mean, it's not me. I don't make enough money for any of this stuff. Yeah.
Looks amazing, mate. But just before we go on and speak to Ray about Sandris, I want to get a bit of a lowdown on him. John Terrian in the background there, are you, mate?
How's it going?
How are you doing?
Hey, John.
Awesome.
And
Really,
Neil,
really good to see you, buddy. Really good to see you.
we got like 25, 30 minutes of sun. So we can get back on in like 30 minutes, but we might have to keep this kind of quick for now.
We will probably be off in that time, mate. But if you got to drop
Okay.
out, don't worry about it at all. We'll probably
I'm
be
sorry,
off in that time. We've got about 20 minutes left to go. But let's just get a bit of a lowdown on yourself, Brad, before you run off, because
Sure, yeah.
you've been in, you've been out. You're like the arm wrestling version of the Okie Kokie. Are you
Yeah.
going to be? Are you going to be arm wrestling for the foreseeable now?
I really hope so. I was pretty like, I don't want to say depressed, but I was pretty down after I stopped arm wrestling. And then I thought I'd figured out a way to do both this last few weeks, but honestly, I dropped the ball. I think, look, Philip, I think could have definitely beaten me anyway, but I don't like the way I performed. My technique felt off. Everything felt weird.
Your mind wasn't there.
Then also on my exams,
How long have you been off? Give yourself a break there, mate. How long have you been? Because I thought you were done. I mean, I messaged you, said, what the fuck? Are you pulling again?
yeah.
Are you, so
No,
if you've
so
not been committed, if you've not been training, where had you been at? Had you done any work or have you come in cold?
No, I've done pretty much zero work. I've had like a few practices. You were at one of them with Devon. That was one of them. But all my time's been in school, and my grades have been great. Then I pick up this match. I dropped the ball with Philip. I think so. Philip's awesome guy. Could have beaten me anyway, but the way I performed was bad. And then I dropped the ball in my schooling, like my exam that week. So this past Wednesday, I dropped the ball as well. So right now, it's a big maybe if I can do arm wrestling, because I did bad in the exam and bad in arm wrestling. So I got to figure some shit out. Maybe like stop doing anything outside of arm wrestling in school. Probably stop drinking.
Now, you know what my take on that is?
Yep.
You'll do better at arm wrestling and better at your work if you're doing what makes you happy, and you're an arm wrestler to the core, mate. And I really believe that. I'm not just blowing smoke at you.
Yeah.
I really believe that. I think if you stop the inner turmoil, do what makes you happy, you'll be surprised.
Well, yeah, that's what I've been doing.
Really
And I hope, but yeah, I'm going to try to make it work. Hey, Neil, I'm so sorry. I'll answer some Sandra's questions, but the daylight's it's fading.
Yeah. Sandris Shedis, mate. How
Yeah.
dangerous is this guy, and can he beat Rustam Babayev?
I think yes. And I mean, Rustam has that injury, right? He still
Really?
has it.
I don't think so. I don't think you can beat Pauline with the injury.
I mean, I thought Rustam still had some kind of injury. If Rustam feels 100% healthy, I have Rustam. But I was under the impression he was injured.
I did not know this. Yeah, that was a new one on me. I didn't know that was the
Okay,
case.
maybe I'm misinformed. I'm probably misinformed. Then if not, Rustam would be my favorite. Sorry, Ray.
Now, let's come to. So, are you guys dropping off now, Brad, or are you staying on for a little while?
I think we have to, Neil. I'm driving the boat, and we got like 20 minutes left to sunlight. I'm sorry. We gotta
Don't
hop
worry
off
about
there.
it, mate. Do not go. Don't crash.
All right.
You jump off there. Thank you for dropping off.
It's only this weekend.
Oh yeah.
Say again, John.
I said, Ray, you're lucky I didn't pull you this weekend, buddy.
Hey, John.
I'm sad
Yeah.
we didn't pull this weekend. I
I
was
know,
looking
I-
at 23rd.
John,
and
it's
I
been
was
a
like,
good
God
match.
damn, we missed it. We'll do it some other time for sure.
John.
Yeah.
Yeah, call next few days, mate.
I
Some of
sure
the-
will, Neil.
Brad's coming over, so don't worry about it. He'll be at the
All
same.
right.
Have a good night, man.
Love you guys. Hey, Philip.
Bye.
Philip is awesome, though. Check out Philip.
Yeah, looks
See you guys.
big, hairy, strong boy. Big, hairy, strong boy. I mean, right, we can talk about it now, Ray, that they've gone. Philip's clearly going to get shot because there's no way that you walk around America looking like that and somebody doesn't hunt you. I mean, no way.
If they let him
seen
somewhere
Romba?
in the woods, they'll be like, hey, listen.
Yeah.
The stories are for real.
For real. I mean, people need to be like, Philip, stay on the lake. Don't go in the go in the woods, Philip.
Hold the sign, I'm human.
Literally. Don't go in. Wear high vis. You go out that hairy. Just saying. Hairy dude. Strong as frig. Big dude and all. Big dude. If you don't know about Philip, go and check that guy out, because let me tell you, that's a strong boy. I was saying the other day, Rolly, right? We were on I can't remember if it was my show or whether we were on with Brian. But, and I know we're going off topic. We'll get back onto Sandris in a minute, right? But I know we're getting excited about, obviously, the influx of talent coming from other strength sports and other genres of strength. But we got some talent in the game now. And upcoming. I mean, you only need to look on the card here. at Dave Chaffee's opponent to know that there are some serious rising forces coming in here. You know, there are some strong people in this game. The Claymore, who I worked with last night, living up in the middle of frigging nowhere. But let me tell you now, James Stewart's potential is off the charts. Lad's a giant, only 30 years old, strong as. Very dangerous individual. Lovely kid and all. Really nice lad. Anyway, we digress. Let's get back onto it. Let's talk about the MF Chef. Because Sandris, as you know, one of my favorites for many years. He looks really good right now, Ray.
Yeah, he's like he used to walk around, I think 114, 15, 13, something like that. So he's very meticulous about eating. We were training last week together. He brought his own food. He's doing cardio and like everything. So he's now walking around, I would say 106, 107 kilos, depending on day. So this is 105 kilos. So his plan, I think, eventually is also to pull off at 100 kilos. We'll see. It's for mostly for health reasons, because like big dudes, you know, easy to gain weight, and for him it always was. So pulling Rustam is one of my favorites of all time. Absolute legend. I think people forget about him and don't give him credit that he definitely deserves. What is it, like 20-time European champion or something like that? Like,
and come up through the weight classes, mate. I mean, you're talking to the guy that was started to emerge as a force at 154 pounds if you're in the USA. If you're in Europe, 70 kilos, old money. Let me tell you, venomously fast, incredibly dangerous, was a genuine force in the 165, 75 kilo class. Animal, absolute animal at that time. Then started to progress up through the weight classes, and wherever we've seen him, he was incredibly strong. And as you say, he became so dominant at one point that he started to pull against the giants, and here we are again. Because he's not a big frame guy, is he?
No. And he was set up him and John Berzeng before. I do like this one better. I think him and Sandris will be a crazy match, because like Sandris has that versatility. He can pull many different things. I do believe it doesn't matter what you're trying to do with Rustam, you're gonna end up in a hook. Only if you have like Hermes Gasparini, Irakli Zirakashvili level of top roll. I don't see Sandris having that top roll right now, but Sandris has many different weapons. I do believe it's going to go inside, and I do believe Sandris can win. I see it very close. I can't predict, like, because I know how dangerous Rustam is, and just looking at the matches, Irakli Zirakashvili at 95 kilos is just going through everyone like hot knife through the butter. And there was one guy that actually, you know, since his rise at that category, gave him an even match, and that was Rustam Babayev coming back right back after Paul Lynn's match. So now I think he has more time. He's better. He should be super dangerous. If he wins, I think, listen, him, Tadzilla, Irakli, whoever gets it, let's see those matches happening. If Sandris wins, I think for Sandris it's very good. 105, I think he is a contender, as well as he was at 115 kilos. So for me, great match, just great match. I see it as a war. I don't see it any other way, because Sandris can pull and Rustam can pull. And I do believe even Sandris can outlast him in a hook. Will it just be hook? We'll see. Maybe initiations will go through top roll or through press, but I don't see anyone really escaping.
It's that classic, it's the classic alternate hook match, isn't it? Where you've got the big circle and the small circle, and who can outlast and who can hold the pronator. What I mean by that, if you look back at Yevgeny Prudnik and his history at the peak of Rustam, he was always a more difficult match because he could hold his pronator and he could sit in that hook forever. But the question I wanted to ask you, specifically just picking up on what you were saying, really pertinent comment, and I agree entirely, that whilst he's big, or bigger, significantly bigger frame, because Sandris is what, 6'4"? Big frame.
It will play against him in this one. because Rustam will get you into,
Yeah.
and that shorter leverages help for hook pullers.
Do
Like,
you also feel like Sandris might be a little conflicted in terms of choice of, because he can do so many things?
yes.
Do you feel like he's a little conflicted in terms of the how to approach the match, where Rustam pretty much, you know what's coming?
Well, we talked about it, and even now, I think in his mind, he's like, I'm gonna top roll, right? But if you think, if you're facing someone that strong, that's really efficient in that one move, like you want to do some damage before you end up there, right? You want to do damage. And I think top roll is a good option if you can hit that hand, but every time you end up in that hook, you're not going to be in the best position. You're most likely going to be here, right? You because you're not initiating.
How is his pronation, Ray Sandris? How is his pronator? Can he hold it really well, or is it not at its best?
I don't know. Like with Sanders, it's so weird. He will come to practices and he will be like all week training. Like he trains almost every day and it's pretty brutal. And then he comes to practices, like we pull and like I'm like, dude, are you even Sanders sheds, right? And then he will rest for a week and you can move him with a tractor. So I do believe it's going to be where it needs to be, but I don't believe it's where it was because Sanders developed that hook and we've seen it in action many times where he has that hook. So your body will always go where it is strongest. Like if you like, you can work on your top roll as much as you want. If you don't have confidence and your body knows that the press or hook is stronger, the top roll will be like the last option, even if you think it's the number one option. So I do believe it's going to be inside roll.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny you say that your body will go where it's strongest, and you feel like because I had a bit of epiphany this weekend, mate. Well, this last 2 weeks actually, with training with Eddie, because I can't arm wrestle for shit at the moment because my primary weapon, which was always my wrist, is completely and utterly destroyed. And then training with Eddie, I start to think to myself, am I missing a trick here? Could I train? Could I start to just press? Could I forget my wrist completely, get tied to people, and start just gunning through folk? And I don't know, but I'm going to start playing with it and see if it's hurting my wrist and seeing what I can do, really. Because I certainly can't use my wrist. My wrist is totally destroyed. And no cartilage in it, and it lights me up like Blackpool. So I don't know. It's interesting. Been doing some mucking around while I've been training for this, and
it's everyone has their default settings, right? You always want to go back to your default settings, but just putting in your mind like, okay, the default setting has changed, right? And if you do that, will happen. A lot of times we'll see, like I see people after injuries, they're coming to training or they're messaging me and they say like, I can't do this and I used to do this. I'm like, what can you do now? Like see what you can do now and try and improve on that. And maybe the other thing will come back or you will develop this new one. Right now you're going, you're going where there's no road, where the bridge has collapsed. The road is on the other way of the river, and the injury is the river. You can't get past it, but maybe you have a different way. So for most arm wrestlers, it's very hard to deal with these things as we're like, oh, like I used to do this. I was able to do this. What can you do now? Can you improve on that?
Well, the funny thing is the way that I sort of the way that my style developed as I got older, my prime really, I started to get into the sort of the assassin, the dark arts stuff. And one thing that does do is it allows you to make a great deal of progress in a match. And this isn't something I could train to Eddie, just to be clear. You can't, let's not be ridiculous. It's very much fundamental stuff that you're training with Ed because you just couldn't do it. But for me, if I could get back any of the fast twitch that I used to have in abundance, there's no reason why you can't apply the dark arts theory to any style. The theory is consistent across any and all form of arm wrestling. It is. It's just that my propensity was always to utilize more hook and top roll, particularly top roll. But I always had my strongest position was always a hook. It's just that a hook in a main draw tournament is a dick move because you may be the strongest guy unless you finish everyone. And I was never the strongest guy in the class. You're an idiot if you start going into a hook with people in main draw tournaments because you might last 2 rounds, 3 rounds, and then you're going home. So you got to put people away. So I ended up developing top roll despite the fact that I was stronger in a hook and I had relatively short lever and a relatively small hand compared with some of the competition. And I also dropped weight and started pulling at 80 kilos, 85 kilos. So that was a big thing. But it was very interesting this last few weeks and what we've been working on with Ed and the press, the way you can weaponize that so significantly. We've seen it from guys like the Golden Dragon, who, alongside Jerry, has made the press the weapon of choice. And I mean, you've got a pretty decent press, Ray. Let's be honest. You don't necessarily uncork it a lot, but when you do,
I hate to I can how to say my offensive press is with the hand. My defensive press is without the hand. So I try to stay away from losing my hand. For some reason, I just hate it. So I rather lose than lose my hand.
Yeah.
Just
because of the damage and the longevity.
Yeah, well, just sometimes just feels not right. I don't know. I don't know. But there's like arm wrestling, especially now in super matches, it has changed the game for everything. And the attitude you had before, like where you were going and you're like, oh, like this guy, like if I'm stopped, I'm gonna bleed. Can go to the next round, right? You want to finish fast, even sometimes lose fast.
Yeah.
Super match changed that. You're like, I'm taking damage, you're taking damage. The most important thing is I take less damage than you. That's the only, right?
Yeah.
So now we have pressers, guys giving up wrist on round number 1 and still being able to arm wrestle for 5-6 rounds.
I've said it since, I mean, when I first presented the super match theory back in 1992, and I got laughed at the time. One of the biggest arguments I made was around that it was almost, I said, look, let me be clear, it is a different sport. It is a different sport to main draw arm wrestling. Now, people in the chat, if you're not familiar with it, you are newcomers to the sport, you may laugh, but I can assure you, you speak to guys that are, it's a different sport. It's like rally driving and F1 car racing. They are both motorsport, but they are so different. MMA fighter, boxer, incredible difference. Fighting in MMA, stand up, boxing in MMA, and boxing, different sport, utterly different. Everything is different. The position of the feet is different. Everything is different. It's different to the core. Super match arm wrestling, main draw arm wrestling, different sports.
Different sports, yeah.
Utterly different. And guys that excel in one may not excel in the other.
Yes.
I think there was a number of examples of that were really pertinent. I mean, if you go to the overall category, I'm going to say that the Ukraine pain train, rest his soul, Andrei Pushka, was an incredible main draw super heavyweight, unbelievably powerful, less effective, less dangerous in super match.
Yeah, he had like a terrible super match record, right? Like I think I was
compared with main draw, yes.
Yeah.
With main
not
draw.
even like weirdly didn't make any sense.
Yeah,
but
guys that wouldn't have dealt with him.
Yeah.
In
But
the main draw.
In main draw, you have like you have like 2 lives, right? That's the most you're gonna pull with someone 2 times, maybe 3 times, maybe 3 times. Like if you qualification 2 finals, right? That's the most you can pull with. And sometimes the guys that are really good in a qualification lose in the final because they don't have endurance in their style. And Pushkar, like when he attacked, he gave up his wrist, right? And the power was so much he could go through guys, but sometimes he got stopped, and then someone else takes over.
And he was working at that red line all the time.
All the time.
All the time. Red line, drag car, unbelievable power, unleashes it. And the thing is, he was so strong, a lot of guys he'd run over in the main draw, where then the power curve would drop, and he wasn't taking the damage that other people potentially take. So some of his opponents, main draw arm wrestling is attritional, which is, as I say, why I moved over my career from being a hook puller to a top roller, even though I wasn't as suited on paper from the frame, I wasn't as suited to top rolling, but you develop that to get you through main draw tournament. Actually makes you a better arm wrestler, you're more well-rounded. But that is the situation, and it is a different sport entirely. What you just alluded to there with you've got a very efficient press. I mean, your tricep and shoulder integrity is very high. I mean, you're a 200 plus kilo bench presser at 90 kilo body weight. At it, what's your best ever bench at 85 kilos, right?
At 85.
Yeah. Would you say 85 is your optimum weight now? Where's your optimum weight right now? If you were saying I'm gonna come in maximum power for arm wrestling, what weight would you be at?
86, 85 kilos.
So at that
Yeah.
kind of weight, what have you bench pressed?
200.
I mean,
I just saw a memory. I bench pressed 200 kilos when I was 86.2. Like, gym.
massively strong on any measure.
Before my shoulder got fucked.
Yeah,
But now it's getting better. But
massively
like,
strong. There's no doubt about that.
and I had the press, and of course I had the press when I was doing things like that more. Like I was bench pressing more and everything. Like it's just like the movement forward is right there, right? There's no back step with me. I can't top roll, never could. Sometimes like I can dabble a little bit, but it's just not there. The instincts is not there. For everyone is different. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the press is making a big comeback, I see, and like Kamil and Reno. I think those are the guys that show the world that like look at this, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And the
And
blistering pace. And there's others. We've had others that have been. What's the middleweight kid? Not a big
Talgat,
kid.
Talgat.
But mate. Oh, Talgat's no, the Kazakh Talgat, but there's a European kid not well known, and I am a massive fan of him. He used to come over and pull in the UK. I'd so apologise because this guy, I love this guy, and his name's just gone.
Tudorian?
No,
No.
it'll come to me. I'm not going to think about it. It'll come to me. But I'm a massive fan. But there are other guys that have done the same as Reno, the same as Camille, blisteringly quick, blisteringly efficient
Well,
with that movement.
I think there's a pattern, like how good pressers are built. You look
Yeah.
at Lino, you look at Kamil, and you look at Jerry, and you will see very familiar builds, and they will all look very similar. And that is you need wide shoulders,
Mhm.
and you don't need very long arms, and to set up correctly. And I think those guys are kind of doing it best. But everyone can like the press is making a comeback for sure.
So Eddie Hall,
Yeah.
all I can tell you is this. You know, the press, it's very interesting, this. The press is ordinarily extremely dangerous thing to teach to a newcomer.
Mhm.
Some guys have an absolute propensity to just be able to do it.
Mhm.
They can just naturally press.
Mhm.
It's how they feel comfortable. And they move into there and aren't dangerous. They just move in there and they can just do it.
Listen, that's what you're gonna do? Is that is
I'm
this
not listen, I know there's a massive amount of abuse around how you should approach a match, and don't start that with if you look at the guy you are working with and look at what they can do
Mhm.
and where they feel that if they actually look safer doing something than doing the orthodox movements,
Hmm.
I'm not going to get into the we've got option A, option B, option C, but everybody concerned about the danger level. Am I concerned about that? Hell yes.
Mhm.
Hell yes. Because of the propensity to be able to do that, I am concerned for both men, for Brian and Eddie, because the fact of the matter is, this is really their first outing in that kind of level. And anyone who thinks that it isn't dangerous for these guys, you're kidding yourselves. It is extremely. These guys are very, very strong, and if they move wrong and they make a mistake, it can be really dangerous. Really, really dangerous. And the more power the individual has and the less experience they have, it is dangerous. And I've just seen Lawrence. I don't know who you are, Lawrence, but he's put Neil is delusional. I can assure you I'm not, buddy. I know what I'm talking about. And believe me, it is dangerous for any new arm wrestler that comes in who doesn't move well and has a massively high level of strength. If you don't believe that, you need to give your head a wobble. That is
No,
true.
no, I think he's thinking you're delusional because you're helping Eddie. And it's people like what else you gonna do? If your job is to prepare him, you're gonna give him the best option to try to win this thing, right? You had the conversation. I didn't watch the whole podcast. So how did that went? Like
Mario Skate has just put a comment in there. Eddie moves so bad though. No, he doesn't. Dude, no, he doesn't. You're gonna have such a show. Listen, Eddie's got no chance. Hashtag Eddie got no chance. Telling you. But what I will tell you is this. If you think that Eddie moves bad, you're nuts. You are nuts. Eddie's moving unbelievably well. Unbelievably well. Whether he'll be able to move unbelievably well when he's pulling someone like Brian Shaw, who is so difficult to combat. Such a massive arm, such enormous strength, and such great leverage advantages, that's a different matter. But when Eddie is in an optimal situation, training with normal sized guys, to say he's had literally 5 training sessions on the table, lasting an hour and 30 minutes at max. The guy is moving as well as I've ever seen a big man in my 38 years of arm wrestling. That's a fact. The dude is moving extremely well and extremely quick. We had the Claymore downwards last night, and he was shocked. James, I think you're in the comments, mate. Just put us a comment in there, James Stewart, if you are still in there. You were with Eddie. How's that kid moving? Believe me, Ray, lad is moving well. And anybody out there that thinks he's not interested in arm wrestling, also, you're kidding yourself. Eddie is very, very interested in arm wrestling. Respects arm wrestling massively. One of the reasons that he said, there you go, the Claymore arm wrestling channel. Yes. Moving really well. Moves equally well in the strap or out of the strap. Doesn't make a difference. Does it scare me? Yes. Yeah, it scares me. Does it scare me for him and Brian? Yes. Terrifying, actually. But here's one for everybody in the chat and for everybody out there. If you think you'll walk into Eddie Hall's house and tell him what he's going to do in a match, good luck with that. Eddie's a very different kind of individual. He's training very hard. He's an extremely... You might have a risk valve. You know, have you ever met anybody, Ray, that's like the risk valve is set just different to everybody else? What they're prepared to do is just different to anybody else. I'll tell you a little story about Eddie, right? So back in 2016, he's going for the 500. And we're at Giants Live. For anybody who doesn't know, this is the biggest deadlift in history attempt. And at that time, the deadlift world record was held by Eddie, and it was at 463 kilograms. We were in a fan meet and greet. Paul Lynn just messing us now. I didn't actually see what it said, but just getting home now. Paul, if you want to jump on, feel free to do so, but we're not going to be going for long, brother. Only probably 10 minutes or so. So we're sat in there. All the greats of strongman are in there. Most notably, Zydrunas Savickas, right? And somebody from the crowd asks a question. They say, "Hey, you know, do you believe that this is going to be possible? Do you believe that anybody can actually lift half a ton?" And room goes quiet because everybody respects the opinion of Savickas because he's the best. And he just says, no, I don't believe that's possible. And he looked across at Eddie and said, "Eddie, no disrespect, I'm sorry, but I don't believe it's possible. And it's also a little concerning, a little dangerous, because we're getting to the level where you can end up with catastrophic failure. Catastrophic failure. And what I mean by that is a man's hips collapsing, bones breaking, catastrophic injury in the hips, in the legs, which could be career ending. So we need to be careful. It's very dangerous what we're doing here. And Alex Hall is sat like 2 rows back. This is Eddie's wife, sat there with his child. And she gets emotional. She's genuinely upset because this isn't a joke. This is her husband. It's her family. Eddie, stoic as hell, sat there just looking really angry at this comment. And he looked across at Zydrunas. He left. Eddie got up and he just left. He went. So I follow him down. We get to reception. I say, "You all right, mate?" And he was really angry. And he said, everybody's laughing. They think it's not possible. They think it's a joke. They think they're measuring about what they can do and they're scared of doing it. So they've been held back by that. He said, well, I'm not scared. And they'll be laughing on the other side of their face when I speed rep 465. And with his second lift, that is exactly what he did. The only thing, there's no correlation at all between deadlifting and arm wrestling. None. We talked about the difference in sports between supermatch arm wrestling and main draw arm wrestling, so you know how purist I am. But what I will say is very clear from that and from what Eddie did achieve is that in terms of his mental wiring, he's different. He wasn't concerned a bit about the fact that, yeah, his hips may collapse, his guts may come out his ass. He didn't care. He wasn't worried. He wasn't concerned. And in front of literally 15 or 16,000 people in the arena that night, he just went for it. And he did it. With his eyes, nose, and ears bleeding. Get your head around that. Guy's wired up different. So when you say to him, oh, this is risky, it's an arm wrestling match and you might get hurt, he's not bothered. And when he says, couldn't give a shit, he really couldn't. He doesn't care. Doesn't care, doesn't see. The guy's about to fight Mariusz Pudzianowski in an MMA fight, and he's not bothered. He's just wired up different. Couldn't care less. That is both concerning, but also a little like, oh, shit. Like something might go down. And Brian does need to be ready for that. He really does need to be ready for that. Because I believe that's what's coming. Whether or not it'll be successful, that's a different matter. Do I think Brian's a favourite? Oh, God, yeah. We have literally got the T-shirts. Eddie can't win. But, wow. Scary stuff. Dude's coming hard. And he's trained his ass off in this period of time. I don't know how, actually, when he's training for a fight. But the lad has worked hard. When we show up, James, the Claymore, put it in the chat a moment ago, Ray, and he just put, he really listens and he works hard. And I couldn't agree more. He's working very, very hard indeed. Also, Phil, if anybody's giving me shit in the chat, mate, and you're deleting them, don't worry, because it's exciting. I love people's opinions. And if they don't agree with any of this, awesome. Everybody's entitled to their opinion and everybody's got their opinion. And it's great that people have. I see Brian as a massive favourite here, but if you think that Eddie has no chance, I believe he's got a chance. I believe he's got a chance. I believe when you're dealing with someone who's listened as closely and as intensely as Eddie has, who's worked as hard as Eddie has, who's moving as well as Eddie is moving, there's a chance. There's a chance that Brian comes in with all that pressure, he makes a mistake, he doesn't move right, and Eddie catches him. What's your thoughts on that, Ray?
I do see Brian as the favorite, as he looks great, and I think he has invested a lot. But I really don't know. I have to believe you, everything you say. I have to believe that Eddie's going to come in as ready as he can be and as dangerous as he can be. It is an arm wrestling match, and it will come down who can better arm wrestle on that day. I do think everything is on Brian's side, but if Eddie is some way efficient in a press and he doesn't hurt himself and he can stay there 4 rounds to win when someone is like this on you, it's very hard. So listen, all I want to see is good arm wrestling, and I want to be excited. And if these guys having a good match, maybe we'll see Eddie Hall transitioning to arm wrestling as well. That would be great.
I can assure you that if Eddie has a good outing here, he will definitely do that. No doubt. I mean, Eddie when the camera's on and Eddie when the camera's not on are two very different guys. And he will definitely look to get involved with arm wrestling if he has a good outing here. At the moment, Eddie has not had the opportunity to commit to arm wrestling in the same way Brian had. I'm going to give everybody my sort of thoughts on that again for anybody who's not seen the previous shows. Eddie is my personal friend, so I want Eddie to win, and I'm going to try everything I can in a very short period of time I've got to help Eddie to stay safe, to wrestle to his strength, and to try and get a result in the match. Those are the criteria. I don't want Brian Shaw to get hurt. I have no axe to grind with Brian Shaw. I really like Brian. I want Brian to be successful and go on to realize his full potential in the sport. I want Eddie to do the same, and I want others to come and do the same. I don't wish anybody to get hurt in arm wrestling. I want to try and help these guys to develop their technique and their style to the fullest of their capabilities. They're a great signboard for the sport that I've dedicated my life to. So if these guys can come and embrace the thing and do well, tremendous. We get more eyeballs on it. You know, it's excellent. So hopefully the match is a good match, but most importantly for me, both guys enjoy the match and come through injury free, and we get to get both these guys in the sport of arm wrestling. For me, that if that happens, I'll be celebrating all night. You know, I really will. I think it'll be amazing. And it's interesting that it's garnering so much interest.
Oh, the interest is great, and just this talking back and forth, like, you know, like no chance for Eddie, and it's all making it so much more interesting. And like all I want to see is good arm wrestling. Not I just want to see guys and to have a battle. Like that's what I want to see. And for fans, that would be what fans really need. If you're a fan and you're thinking, oh, I want to see just like one guy dominate, that's so boring. That's so boring. And if Brian dominates, that's expected. If somehow Eddie dominates, unexpected but still boring. I want a war.
Yeah, it'd be the longer a war goes on, the more concerned I would be, if I'm honest. Because as fatigue sets in there with two guys who were champions in the way that these guys are, again, the potential for injury goes up. And what I don't want is to see either of these men injured at the expense of entertainment. I don't want to see that. I just don't. That's just my personal. I know these guys. They're my friends. I don't want them to get hurt. I want them to come in to enjoy their experience and to get out. Honestly, that's what I want. And I want them to both then embrace the sport of arm wrestling for the guys that are working with these people. I mean, let's give a shout out to Derek Smith, who's done some great work with Brian. Let's give a shout out to Chris Kaufman and the crew that are over there. Wes Bjornson's in there. Luke Pulcher's been doing something. And all the guys that are at that crew that are working with Brian. Those are the people that are working with him week in, week out. And they will be putting a great deal of benefit to Brian. It's great that Dev got down there and Auden and got to do some with him. But all those guys that are around him and are working with him closely, there's a great deal of benefit there. So good job, Derek, and good job, Chris, Luke, and the other guys down at the club, Wes Bjornson and so on, that are doing everything with Brian. I hope that Brian is coming on really well, and I hope that his arm wrestling is developing in the same way that Eddie's is. Eddie, if you came and trained with Eddie, I promise you, Ray, you'd be shocked. You would be shocked. For the Arm Wars YouTube channel members, we are putting more and more out of Eddie's training. Obviously, we're holding back a little bit on showing you everything for the obvious reason. And we're certainly showing more of the stuff that Eddie's not going to do in the match. Because we want to win the match. If it's possible to do that, we want to win the match. But our channel members are going to get to see the whole thing in glorious Technicolor throughout and straight after. And we're going to make a film of the whole thing. I'm going to break down some of the stuff we're doing in there. But what I will tell you is, he is moving well, guys. Do not worry about Eddie's movement up there. For a guy that's been pulling for 6 sessions, holy hell, he is going well. The last 3 sessions, he's had the straps extensively throughout. We've changed extensively in the strap. The strap favors Eddie massively. We really want the strap. Brian will want the strap. It will favor both men greatly. I really do believe that. Yeah, hopefully they both come out of it. They're both 100% fit. We get no injuries, no damage. Both guys enjoy it. And we also get to see an undercard that is rock solid, because the headline match of Jerry and Levan is an absolute banger. That's the one that I want to deliver. I'm not going to lie. If somebody said to me, what's the match you want to deliver? That's the one. Because I think that if Jerry can get the brakes on and pull Levan into deep water, we are going to see 2 very, very different, very, very intelligent arm wrestlers beat the living piss out of each other. And that's what it's all about. I mean, you look at the card top to bottom, there's some bangers on there. You know, I do agree with some of the comment we had earlier in terms of the favourite is Matt Mask in the Marcio match. I'm very intrigued by Paul Lynn Cressy. Very intrigued by that match. I think that is a fantastic matchup.
I think
My
everyone's
favourite on the card.
overlooking. There's Gabi and Barbora rematch.
Yeah. What about Gabor with Dave? Do you see how do you see that? Because Gabor's done really well, but he's very young.
Yes, but he's very powerful. Talking with some
Very
people
powerful.
here, they do believe that Gabor is gonna win. If he wins, that's like dudes arrived at 20 years old, winning the super heavyweight world championship.
And junior and senior.
Yeah,
And then goes and if he cracks Dave,
Yeah.
holy shit.
yeah. Big match. There's so much. Like for me, that's one of the most interesting matches because we have this new guy rising, right? And then this Dave, that staple at the super heavyweights, right? He's been
Yeah.
top 10 for decade, right? Or even more. Yeah, I'm very excited for that match. Super excited. Yeah.
Somebody just put in the comment a minute ago, Joe Blow, dude, when you said Eddie has a silent and deadly weapon and he's not afraid to stoop so low. My God, I couldn't agree more. The other day at training, Eddie unleashed that bad boy halfway through the session. And you know, like some people do OnlyFans and they sell like a pair of socks or some small element of bodily fluid. If you'd have had a butter knife and a jar, you could have cut the atmosphere, boxed it up, and sold it on Eddie's OnlyFans. Oh my God. Wow. Like, find another room. Get the mustard gas mask. Mega. Guy can operate at a higher level. So if that goes down, I will definitely be giving advice from the other room. Commentary for that match. I really want to commentate it, but you might get Rolly Ray on his own because I can't see a world where I'm not working in the corner of those guys. If nothing else, just to shout, "Oh, shit, Brian, let it go!"
Yeah, sitting there with a hazmat suit.
Yeah. When Brian dives to stop that, oh my God. Or Eddie tries to hang on to it like he will. And oh, mate. Yeah. Get your 3D glasses ready, ladies and gentlemen. Get your head on fast twitch so you can turn away because something's going down. Yeah, should be a big one. Listen, Ray, I know you're ill, mate, and I know it's really late over there. I want to say thanks for coming on again, mate. I really actually enjoy when you get the one-to-ones and I can talk to you one-to-one in that respect. Yourself, I'm Paul. Ladies and gents, I do apologise. We had the last-minute cancellations. We had to change it. We will get Devon here and talk about Brian more. He just had something come up last minute in that respect, and we'll put it together for you at some point during the week. I know that he'll have done some great stuff over there with Brian. Hopefully, they had some really successful training, and Brian's game is coming together as well. It's exciting times, mate, isn't it? We're getting really big names interested in the sport. It can only be a good thing. Ladies and gents, if this is your first time here at Supernatural Strength, please like, share, and give us a sub while you're over. If you're not subscribed to the voice of arm wrestling and global arm wrestling, all things Rolly Ray, please give him some love. Get over there and back this man. He's everywhere and anywhere in the sport of arm wrestling, and he is strong, and he loves arm wrestling, and he loves cats, and cats love him.
That is 100% fact.
100% fact right there.
Fact.
Guys, all the best to you and your families. We will see you again very soon. Take it easy, peeps.